But you know, this very gun might have killed somebody in my family, you know, or your family or something. You know, it's just this weird that it was actually used. It's always very interesting to have replicas of firearms that were used in major wars and that kind of thing. And then it's even more interesting to have an actual firearm that was used. It's not a replica of anything. It was there. So it's pretty fascinating when you think about it. Even though there are millions of them out there. There are millions of them. But again, the beauty of the Mauser, the reason people are always, and we went over this in one video, I think, but the reason people are so taken with this is it's a good lockup, it's a controlled feed, picks up the round, and you got these two lugs on either side. They go up right into there, and when you turn the bolt, they lock into a mortised area on either side there. And so, I mean, that thing it's really locked. It's actually locking, yeah, it goes into the side and locks up into here and down there. And then you got a safety lock here on the back, a lug on the back of the bolt that locks in to a mortise area right there. So it's a very solid lockup. And a lot of the bolt actions of the day had the lugs were on the back, so they locked up on the back, which wasn't as strong, like the Krag and some other stuff. It's just a very strong lockup for that bolt, and it makes for a very accurate rifle. So that's why it's still used today by so many people, or at least essentially the same thing. BFI or BYF Oberndorf. Go for that little one again. All right. Go back to the other one again. Very, very sweet shooters. They really are. So you see, even after that shooting, it's still in one piece. And what else did I not tell you about it? Oh, the sight hood. If you've done much shooting, you know the beauty or the advantage of having a hooded sight like that, because light really plays with your front sight. It just really does. And then also that hood, it keeps the light consistent, and it also protects it, you know, knocking it around. And they started, they went to those in about 1939, I think it was. And so you might have one where it's just off of the gun, but or it might be an earlier one where they just didn't use them. Okay. Oh, there's something else I was going to show you. The cleaning rod. Now this might surprise some of you. Let me make sure the bolt's open. Yeah, it's open. We're clear. Before I start turning it around here too much. I'm going to take this out and show you something that will just amaze you. It's another one of those illusions. You know, those distortions that we're always messing with you on, like the magazines. See, there's your cleaning rod, and that's it. That's it, you know, okay? Well, look at that. It doesn't reach all the way down. The other cool thing about the Mausers is that they don't get dirty down here, this part of the barrel, only out here. Imagine that. Okay, how many of you believe that? Nah, not many. Actually, that was intentional, and it took 3 of these. You would screw them together, and you and your buddies in your outfit, and it's my turn to clean my gun. I'd borrow theirs and put them together and clean my gun, and then, you know, pass it around. You take it back apart and then put your piece back in here. So it taught togetherness, working together, right? So yeah, that was that. That's what that's about. Too short to clean your gun, so you had to talk your buddies into helping you out. There we go. And the other thing you haven't seen yet, that I wanted a nice bayonet for it too. Got that in Tulsa. The gun show. I keep saying Tulsa. Some of you don't know what that means, I guess, but those that have been following us a while and watching my postings and everything about the Tulsa gun show know that I went to the Tulsa gun show about a month ago. So you notice too that, interesting, this one slips over the cleaning rod. That was kind of an interesting way to goes over the cleaning rod and just clicks in. Okay, so that's a pretty good deer hunting rig right there. You know, I don't know how you get much better than that, because you can shoot the deer and field dress it all with the same object, right? The same item. So let's shoot it with that. Let's see if it'll fire. Okay, more this Federal soft point. These clips work so much better than some that I've had. These nickel plated ones, I highly recommend those. They're so smooth. All right, we are really ready for battle. What if this would go through that and hit that bowling pin? Sure did. 2 liter in a bowling pin, 1 bullet. Let's try that propane. All right. All right. I need a hole. Let's see with the bayonet if it affects accuracy. Oh, it shoots just fine with the bayonet or without it. Wow. Now you saw some of these markings and these proof marks. Some of those are called Waffenants or something. There's an organization that just is in Germany, was responsible for all the proof marking of these things. There's actually one on the stock back here that matches. It's not easily it's there. And they're on various points on the firearm, and that changes from year to year. So that's what I was saying. You really need to know these things, or know somebody who really knows them, if you're planning on spending more than $500 or $600 or $700 on one, because you can get a good shooter, really a great gun like that one over there. Just a great gun that you'll really enjoy in that price range or less. But if you're going to go a little bit more, one that has collectible value beyond just being a good shooter, you just depending on how much you're going to spend, you really need to study it and know what you're doing, because every year, the more I read, the more I realize I don't know. Like every year things would change in the manufacture of these, and where they would stamp them, and what what kinds of stampings they used, and all of that. So there's just book after book after book on them, of course. And like the number right here on the barrel, 101, and there's a Nazi marking, just shows that the factory where it was made. The 43 is the year, just mean different things. So and this one doesn't have import marks on it, so it was, I don't know, brought back by somebody somehow got into this country. Some of them were cut down and shipped back. They call those duffel cuts, where I think they would cut like underneath that barrel band, I believe right there, just cut the stock. I'm not sure how that helped necessarily, but so they could ship them back, and they weren't quite as long. I guess they took the barrel out and all that, and the stock I guess is the longest piece once you get the action and barrel out, so anyway, they'd cut it and ship it back, and then you still put it back together, and I don't know how you reattach it, but or if people even do, you just put the clamp on there tight. So there's different things to look out for, definitely. But again, it's like buying if you're going to go buy a silver dollar, you've never had a silver dollar, you thought it'd be cool just to own one. You can go buy one today, and they're what, 20, 25 bucks or something. Doesn't matter when it was made, what the date's on it, even what condition it's in. If you just want a silver dollar because they're so cool. I say that because I know a little bit about silver dollars. I used to be into those a little bit. But if you're going to go get one that's and spend $300 for it, you better know all about grading and special little markings and all that sort of thing. So that's kind of the thing I wanted to warn you about on these things. And I guess that was about it. This one was blued. And they, they blued the bolts in 1944, 43 and everything. And they went to a phosphate kind of a parkerizing later, I think. And as I say, they in 44 they really started cutting costs because things got worse and worse for them. I think all the barrel bands became stamped. The floor plate here became stamped. I think the trigger guard was stamped. These are not stampings here, I think. They became stampings in 44, 45. Things got really bad, and they were still making these firearms, so they were cutting costs wherever they could. But now, for what I've read, They only cut costs in terms of those sorts of things. They didn't start throwing the barrels together to where they weren't accurate or anything like that. It was just in the superficial things that don't matter that much. Well, I don't know about superficial, if that's the right word, but you know, whether your floor plate is stamped or not it's not that critical, you know, or that barrel band and all that. So pretty cool guns, and pretty interesting. Like I say, they started turning down the bolts on the K98 because the faster to operate, and you could put a scope up here, because if that bolt is sticking right up into the scope, that doesn't work so well. See, even that one is close to a scope. If you had a scope sitting there, it would be right up almost against it, and it's, you know, turned down bolt. So those were some of the differences between the Gavir 98 and the K98. Pretty cool gun. This is kind of a prized possession, I guess you'd say, of mine. It's one I'll not hopefully ever sell or anything, just because it's pretty cool. You know, matching. It's all matching, and it's a shooter. I'm going to take good care of it, but I am going to shoot it. I'm going to keep the history alive and take a few shots with it now and then. Okay, so the Carabiner 98K, or the Car 98K, or the K98, or the Model 98, called by a lot of different things, but as I always say, a rose, well, no, it's Bill Shakespeare said that, a rose by any other name is still as sweet, right? Good old K98. This one is the BYF, made in Oberndorf, Germany. Life is good. We'd like to thank one of our sponsors, SDI, the Sonoran Desert Institute. SDI has fully accredited distance learning programs where you can get certified in gunsmithing or even an associate's degree in firearms technology. Of course, the study includes hands-on experience, which is important, of course. So check it out. Go to sdi.edu or just click on the link in the description. Okay? And also, we'd like to remind you to check out the Hickok 45 Facebook page and the Hickok 45 and Son channel and its Facebook page, as well as Gun Culture Radio on iTunes. Now remember all this, because I'm coming to your house randomly over the next year or two to give you a quiz on it, okay? Thank you.